Claude Code UltraCode is powerful, but the catch is obvious. One serious session can burn through an Opus quota fast. Terp's UltraCode-Shim is trying to solve that specific pain. The source claim is simple: keep the UltraCode workflow harness, but route it to models you already pay for, including GPT 5.5 through Codex Login, MIMO, DeepSeek, OpenRouter, Alma Cloud, local servers, and even an experimental cursor composer bridge. The important part is this: the post does not include a live demo video. It is a source chain made of X screenshots, a public GitHub repo, docs, and code. So this video is not a fake benchmark. It is an honest setup and mechanism check. We will look at what was posted, what the repo actually does, what local tests prove, and what you should verify before moving real work into it. Here is the source chain. The launch post says UltraCode-Shim is live and says you can now run any model in UltraCode. The attached media is a README screenshot from the GitHub repo. The linked quote points to another Terp post that says Composer 2.5 in UltraCode is insane. That post also has a terminal screenshot, not a video. One more quoted post explains the real pain: burning an Opus quota in one session, then says the shim can use local models and cheaper options. I checked the X post with Searle first, but X API credits were depleted. So the extraction used FX Twitter, VX Twitter, OEmbed, browser capture, white DLP no video checks, and the public GitHub API. White DLP found no playable video for the launch post or quoted posts. That matters because we should not pretend there was a real demo clip. The proof has to come from the repo, docs, screenshots, and local tests. The mechanism is a local proxy. Claude Code normally talks to the anthropic API. UltraCode-Shim points Claude Code at a loopback server using anthropic_base_URL. Then the proxy does three things. First, it serves a model list so custom models appear in the /model picker. Second, it adds the UltraCode envelope described in the docs: high effort, adaptive thinking, a large max token floor, and a system reminder. Third, it routes the selected model ID to the real backend from config. If the backend speaks OpenAI chat completions, the proxy translates anthropic tool calls into OpenAI tool calls and translates the response back. The key constraint is weird but important. Discovered model IDs must start with Claude or Anthropic because Claude Code filters the list. That is why this sample config uses aliases like Claude MIMO, Claude OpenRouter, and Claude Local. This is not a secret model. It is request shaping plus routing. The setup path is intentionally agent-friendly. Clone the repo, run the doctor, copy config.example.json to config.json, then keep only the backends you actually have. For a cloud model, you add the provider base URL, the real model name, and the auth header. For a local model, you point to a local OpenAI-compatible server, often something like Alma or LM Studio. For GPT 5.5 through Codex OAuth, the repo expects Codex Login to already exist. For Cursor Composer, it expects Cursor Agent Login, and the docs call that route experimental. The doctor is the guardrail. It checks Python, proxy compilation, model IDs, matching routes, placeholders, login helpers, and the offline proxy tests. If a model does not show up in /model, the first thing to check is whether the alias starts with Claude or Anthropic and whether the route key exactly matches the model ID. I also ran the repo's local proof path in an isolated clone. The offline proxy test passed. It verified health checks, model discovery, the UltraCode envelope, OpenAI-compatible streaming tool call translation, empty turn retry behavior, and environment variable expansion. The doctor also completed with 0 failures in this environment. That is useful proof, but we have to be precise. It proves the proxy mechanics and local checks work. It does not prove that every paid backend will be cheap, fast, permitted by its terms, or good enough for long agent workflows. It also does not prove a real production task completed through a third-party model because the source post did not provide a video of that. So the honest takeaway is not switch everything today. The honest takeaway is the repo is structured well enough to test one backend safely, and the doctor gives you a clear first validation step. Before you try it, Keep 3 caveats in mind. First, you still need Claude Code with UltraCode access. The shim does not grant plan features you do not have. Second, the repo is open source, but model access is not magically free. You still pay for whatever backend you route to, or you run a local server yourself. Third, credentials matter. The docs allow inline keys in config.json because the file is git ignored, but safer setups use environment variables or a local env file. Do not commit keys. Start with one backend, run the doctor, launch the wrapper, type /model, pick the alias, and send a tiny prompt before trusting it with real work. If the model appears and a simple tool task works, then you can test the game of life demo prompt from the repo. That is the right path: one model, one validation, then real workflow testing.